With the every pick in the 2024 draft, the Chicago Bears select the greatest team of all time ever. In fact, was this the greatest draft that the Chicago Bears had, or are there other opportunities? Well, on the surface, we have no idea. We haven't seen these people play in the NFL. We don't know the character of how this is going to play out. What we know so far, Ryan Poles tends to have a pretty good eye for talent, and that has translated to a vastly improved team. So, with that being the case, what can we expect from the Chicago Bears going into 2024? And we'll tackle that tomorrow. The over under on Vegas is 8.5. Guys, bet the over because the Chicago Bears are going to win a lot of games next year. Now, why are you getting that lower sort of grade? Well, it's complicated. Most of the time when you get a number one draft pick and that's a quarterback and you're going to have that guy start, you're going to bring him in, he's going to have some growing pains. Most of the time when you do that, you get the number one draft pick because your team sucks. And here's the thing, the Chicago Bears, they don't even close to suck. They are middling, I would say, but vastly improving as we move along. They completely redesigned their coaching staff. Matt Eberflus is about the only person left that's still there from the original. So, a lot of changes have been made. A lot of, let's call them upgrades for now, have been made. Of course, we lost a defensive coordinator at the beginning of the season for reasons that we don't even know. We lost the running back coach for the same reason. We don't even know what happened there. We replace these guys with men of character. Now, does that character translate to the team? Does that translate into more wins? And I think that it does. I think that a team that went 7-10 last year and could have won up to 4 more of those games reasonably. I'm not talking pie in the sky. I'm talking reasonably. The ball bounced the wrong way a couple of different times. Some of that Luke Getsy, some of that Justin Fields, some of it just defensive collapses. The question would be, is this going to happen again? And I don't think that it does. Historically, when you look in the NFL, a team that has bad luck like that, not named the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, doesn't tend to stay in that sort of bad luck frame, if you will. And here's the thing. Matt Eberflus, despite the fact that he was coaching the defense and will continue to coach the defense and call the plays into 2024, had a defense that was at the end of last season, the last 6 games, the number one scoring defense, that over the entire season was the number one rushing defense. All of these pieces that are in place continue to improve vastly. And the question that you have to ask yourself at that point is, can Caleb Williams step in, run an offense that now includes DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, and now after the draft? Oh, by the way, I was told that I'm saying his last name wrong, that I have to say, because there's an E at the end, that I have to say Odunze. So, with the number 9 overall pick, the Chicago Bears drafted Romy Odunze. And I hope that that fixed the problem that people continue to say, because I was saying Odunze, and they say, no, it's Odunze. And since it ends in an E, I assume that it's Romy Odunze. So there, I think we fixed it. So anyway, we got Caleb Williams. We've got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, Romeo Dunze, and there we go. We now have a fully fleshed out team. And look, this is probably one of the better receiving cores now in the NFL. This has been vastly remade. Now, that's putting a lot of that's giving a lot of credence to Romy Odunze, because he might potentially be in need of growing a little bit and getting more acclimated. But he's 6'3", 210 pounds. It's like a big guy. It's a big guy who's going to go up and he's gonna challenge some of the better cover men. And by the way, in the slot, he's going to be facing safeties more than anything, unless they decide to just go pure nickel. So there's a lot to like about the Chicago Bears going into this next season. And then it becomes Caleb Williams. Can Caleb Williams do what we think that he's going to do? So the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to analyze, we're going to go through draft grades. And Mel Kiper, by the way, I was looking at a statistic, and it was Mel Kiper, how he was evaluating the drafts. And first of all, the fact that you draft a punter doesn't get you a B right away. Although it was very weird because I saw this thing and it said Mel Kiper. He said that the Chicago Bears got a he gave a draft grade of everybody gave A plus, A, or A minus, and he gave him a B. And the reasoning that he gave, which was dumb, but the reasoning that he gave was because they drafted a punter. And then he says, even though this guy is probably the best punter that we've seen in many, many years, it's crazy. Like, it's absolutely bonkers what some of these, especially Mel Kiper, what some of these guys do in their draft analyses. But anyway, so he's the lowest rated guy in all of this. So we're going to check out a few of them and we'll talk to him. And if you like this content, by the way, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future content. It certainly helps push me up in this algorithm, and I need that, and it certainly helps me. So let's get into it, and let's figure out what the hell is going on over here. So Pro Football Focus, they gave grades over here, position rankings, et cetera, et cetera. They gave the Arizona Cardinals a B minus, the Atlanta Falcons a B, the Baltimore Ravens a B plus, the Buffalo Bills a B, the Carolina Panthers a B minus, the Chicago Bears an A plus. So that was a, Jesus Christ, that was a 2021. Anyway, let's move on. I really thought that I had this one nailed. AP draft grades. But by the way, A plus for Justin Fields, by the way. I do want to point that out. AP NFL draft grades. Bears earned highest marks, landing Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, I guess is what I'm supposed to say now. Other teams have to wait on returns. Houston, Texas went from worse. Arizona got an A. Atlanta Falcons got a C minus. And guys, can we just take a moment to look at that Michael Penix Jr. trade and say, what the absolute F is going on over here? That makes no sense whatsoever. And can we have can we just have a moment of silence for every Atlanta Falcons fan who just saw that shit take place? And by the way, that's no disrespect to Michael Penix Jr., but he didn't grade out at anywhere near where he was drafted. And they just signed Kirk Cousins for $180 million for 4 years with like $100 million guaranteed. This is the wildest thing I've ever seen. But look, hey, if you got your guy, you got your guy. I think they did that with Jordan Love too in Green Bay. So, I mean, maybe, but it just feels like they got Jordan Love where he was available. Michael Penix Jr., they just went really, really high on this. This was unbelievable. Baltimore Ravens got a B plus. Buffalo Bills a B. The Carolina Panthers a B. Chicago Bears A plus. Getting Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze in the top 10 will help them compete for a playoff spot this season. By the way, guys, I cannot wait to see the comments that I'm going to get for Rome Odunze. This is going to be absolutely fabulous. And then offensive line, Kieran Amagaji, Hinsdale native, provides more protection for Williams. By the way, Kieran is something of a prospect at this point. I looked up his stats. I couldn't find very much in the way of stats. In fact, and I could not find very much in the way of stats for Austin Booker because he only played 1 year. He was, I think he looked like he was redshirted 1 year, then he was off injured, something like that. And he only got one real shot. And then last season he had eight sacks. He had 12 tackles for loss. This guy was a monster. He really was. Playing some really good ball. So, the question is, does he have the passion to continue to do that? That's going to be an interesting case here. And if he does, then DeMarcus Walker, woo, oh, good Lord. Then it's going to look like that. Here's what I'm going to say. It's going to look like Austin Booker and not Rome Odunze is the steal of the draft at their pick. And God, I cannot wait for the comment section for people who are going to be like, I can't believe you're doing this. It's Odunze. And yeah, and it's not Rome, it's Rome. Rome is ROAM by that logic. So Cincinnati Bengals a B, Cleveland Browns B plus, Dallas Cowboys B, Denver B plus. They're just handing out Bs everywhere. Detroit B, Packers B, Texans B plus, Indianapolis B, Jacksonville B, Kansas City A minus, Raiders A minus, B plus, B minus, B minus. See, the Patriots did not get a good one. C plus, and I think they just don't like Drake May, by the way, that was a little bit weird here. Isn't a lock to become a franchise quarterback. Versatile wide receiver Jalen Polk went higher than expected. That probably was true, and I think that was the bookend to Romy Odunze, by the way. Went higher than expected. Day 3 was strong. Got OL Layden Robinson and Javon Baker. I think Javon Baker was UCF in the 4th, and Marcellus Dial and strong arm Joe Milton in the 6th. Jaheim Bell in the 7th could be a steal. By the way, that's a good one right there. In my opinion, who the hell knows if the person will ever make it, Saints B+, Giants B+, New York Jets B-, Philadelphia A, Pittsburgh Steelers B+, the 49ers B-, Seattle B+, Tampa Bay an A. It basically gave everybody an A except for New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. And guys, I cannot believe how bad the Atlanta Falcons. Jesus Christ! I feel like I'm disrespecting guy. But anyway, let's move on here. Bleacher Nation. Round 1, pick 1. The trade with the Carolina Panthers will go down as the most significant trade in the history of the Chicago Bears franchise. And I have a feeling that all of this will work out. Like I said last week, you can use any one-word label you like, but make sure it describes him as the most talented quarterback prospect to step into Halas Hall. And here's the thing. This is true. This is the most talented quarterback to ever set foot in Halas Hall. So if that is the case, theoretically here. Again, I still like Justin Fields, but I mean, this guy does grade out really, really well. And there is a difference, and you can go watch the video and you can see the difference between them. So, unlike in previous attempts to get the quarterback position right in Chicago, Williams has been the Bears starting quarterback since Justin Field was traded last month. There's no Mike Glennon or Andy Dalton here to steal reps from him in training camp. There won't be any waffling back and forth. Williams is the guy, and Poles has built an offense that stacks up with the best of them on paper. Williams will have growing pains even with the litany of weapons he'll be surrounded with. Still, he brings something to the table on day 1 that other Bears quarterback of the past have lacked: efficiency on 3rd and 4th down during 2-minute drills and when the game is on the line late. Now, say what you want about his record against top 25 opponents. We do have to remember that there's only so much that one person out of 11 can do. So, I do think that he's going to have some work cut out for him, and he's going to have to get a little bit better. He threw 14 interceptions in 3 years of college football. As ESPN's Courtney Cronin pointed out recently, he had a stretch of 199 passing attempts in which he didn't throw an interception on 3rd or 4th down attempts. His touchdown to interception ratio on those downs was 16-0, and he had a 46-1 touchdown to interception ratio inside the red zone. This is the guy that we've been looking for all of this time. And when you pair him up with another high-level draft pick like Romy Odunze, then that looks like an incredible opportunity, right? Not only does Williams have the numbers that justify the hype, but he's also been, and by the way, I didn't have to say that. I just chose to say that because it's my right. To say that. Not only does Williams have the numbers that justify the hype, but he's also been a breath of fresh air as a person. The guy has been just a fantastic interview. Super nice kid so far. The video of him and his mother the other day, a fantastic piece. A little, obviously she was reading from a script, so I know she wrote it. Didn't feel like it came from the heart, but it touched him, and that's what matters, right? It feels like Ryan Poles may have finally cracked this one. So the grade that they gave was A+. And then at number 9, little known wide receiver out of Washington, Romy Odunze. As the picks between one of the Bears' next pick at 9 played out, I wondered if Chicago could land Romy Odunze, the big body polished receiver from Washington, to add to this offense that would now be led by Caleb Williams. Ryan Poles stated this: I was nervous that he wasn't going to be there at 9. Our simulations, it was about a 50-50 shot if he was going to be there. But as it started to unfold, Ian had to hold me back from not trying to trade up and do something crazy to get him. But it ended up working out really well. In fact, it looked around the number 7 pick when you started to get a few, you were getting what you predicted, but then you started to realize, you're running out of real estate here. And it's looking more and more like these guys are going to start reaching. And then when you get somebody wilding out like Atlanta, and they're just taking a quarterback who probably projected as a second round selection at number 8 in the first round, then you know your guy is going to be available. And by the way, I think number 2 on that list, just in case he was not available, probably would have been Brock Bowers. I think we were going to stick with offense. I think we were going to continue to build that offense and fit him into that position. So then anyway, the Tennessee Titans selected J.C. Latham. When they selected J.C. Latham, that's when everything changed, because that's where Joe Alt was up there, and you were looking at Olu Fashanu as the number 2 guy, but then the Tennessee Titans took J.C. Latham instead. Then that changed everything, and then the Falcons the Falcons did what can only be described as Falcon shit. You know what I mean? As a result, the Bears were able to select Adunzi, the AP first all-team All-American, and a Biletnikoff Award finalist last year, arguably better statistically than Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors when all is told up. He caught 92 passes for 1,640 yards and 13 touchdowns. Odunze can line up anywhere on the field as a wide receiver and finish contested catches as well as any receiver in the class. He plays big, can run after the catch, changes gears well within the routes. We're going to have some videos on each one of these guys very soon. Has a top gear that creates separation over the top for the deep ball. Speaking of the deep ball, he had an FBS best 21 reception on throws that gained 20 plus yards in the air. Pair that with DJ Moore, who had the 3rd most in the NFL last year. And we've got a recipe for a vertical offense that Chicago Bears have never seen before. And let me stress this. We've never seen anything like this before. We saw moments of it with Justin Fields. We even saw moments of it with Mitchell Trubisky early on. We saw that there were moments where, this team had become something of a vertical team, but we never had the right player with the right amount of talent around it. We pull in Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, great receiver, but seriously declining at that point. By the time he was done with the Bears in 2 seasons or 3 seasons, he was a shell of what he was before, and just failed to live up to any hype. And then we just did not surround Justin Fields with the type of talent that he needed in order to excel. And no fault, by the way, timing. You know what I mean? So that gives us a 1-2 punch that's probably going to be incredible. Now, round 3, pick 75, Kiran Emagaji. This one is the one. I wish he had an E at the end of his name so I could say Kirani, just to mess with people here. But the Chicago Bears have said they're comfortable with Braxton Jones at left tackle, and he'll be the starter at that position going into camp, but it might be his final season as the starter if he doesn't take the next step this season. And that's for you, Lord Crimson. That's for you, man. Kiran Emagaji. He's a prospect, if nothing else. And maybe, just maybe, he becomes that guy who presses Braxton Jones. And I think here's what I think. I think that the fact that they're bringing in Kiran, a hometown kid, I think that they're bringing him in as a prospect. And I think that that's sending the message to Braxton Jones that he's got to up his game. And I think that this is a better message than you could possibly send with Matty Pryor coming in, or keeping Larry Borum on the roster. I think this is a better message that you're going into the draft and you're picking you're picking a guy, a hometown guy. This guy has lived his life to be a Chicago Bear. We're writing a fairy tale for Kiran Emagaji right now, and I hope, and I really, really hope that this plays out the way that he wants. A Hinsdale native, a Chicago Bear for life. This kid is living his dream. And, to be fair, if you don't get a tear in your eye watching him, and if you weren't excited when you saw that he got the call and you started to see it develop and he was getting the message, and then everybody in his family just freaks out and he falls into his mom's lap crying because his lifetime dream had come true. Okay, 22 years, but lifetime dream came true. It was a fantastic story. 6'5", 326 pounds, started a total of 24 games, gave up 1 sack in those 24 games. 10 games in 2021 and 2022 until he had a quad injury that required surgery. Due to the injury, he was only able to play in 4 games last season. He played as left tackle and was named first team All-Ivy for 2 consecutive years. He allowed no sacks in 411 pass blocking snaps. In 2021, he played as a right guard and started 10 games. He was selected as honorable mention in the Ivy League that year. You love the tools that he has, says Ryan Poles. His pass pro protection is really good. Love his length, hand usage, and a big man that we believe is going to continue to get bigger and more explosive. So it should help increase the competition on our offensive line and make everyone better. And that's the part right there, making this team better than they currently are. That's going to be amazing. And Chosen Few says, if Karan doesn't start, I can see him being a blocking fullback down in the goal line. All right, somebody's got the refrigerator in them. And guys, listen to the hometown kid. They're going to give the hometown kids his moments. He's going to have moments where you're just going to be so happy for him. And I can't wait to see this. Guys, I can't tell you, and I can't stress enough how excited I am about this team going into this. Anyway, he gets a B rating overall. And now we're going to talk about kickers. And with first blush, the idea of drafting a punter with a fourth round selection seems like a reach. When you consider the Bears have reached the point where they can invest an asset like that in a position like punter, and that's a credit to the job they've done building the roster. And Tory Taylor was hands down the best punter in college last season and a significant upgrade at the position for the Bears. The pick feels a lot better. Can you imagine you're the punter and they draft a punter and you're like, well, fuck my job. And I mean, you're under contract, but you know what I mean? Taylor totaled an FBS record 4,479 punting yards and a 48.2 yard average, guys. Now, first of all, it takes a horrible offense for you to have stats like that. Iowa, not great last year. Been good for so many years. Not great overall, because you can get that, 38 yards in net average net punting last week, ranked dead last in the NFL. That was Trenton Gill. That was our guy. Taylor has a 46.3 yard average for his career, which is an FBS record. Caleb reached out to Taylor after the selection. He joked he won't be punting the football in Chicago anywhere nearly as often as he did for Iowa last season. And I love that exchange and confidence. And the funny thing is, this guy's having a little bit of banter. Caleb Williams, this is what you're watching right now is you're watching Caleb Williams talk to the other rookies and not take them under his wing or anything like that. He's not qualified at that point to do that. But what he's doing is he's making jokes. He's letting everybody know, guys, I'm going to take this team. I'm as good as advertised. And not only am I as good as advertised, I'm your friend. I'm your guy. I'm your boy. Let's do this for this team, guys. That's the type of stuff. That's the type of stuff that you want to see from your quarterback. Even though some of you, no matter what, you're gonna be like, pink fingernails. Who the fuck does that? And you're gonna do wild shit like that. It's okay. It's really okay, because the important part is Caleb Williams is stepping up right now to the people he can step up to. He's got a long way to go to earn the respect of everybody in that locker room. He has to put in the work. He has to put in the effort. But for the rookies that are coming in, and him leading the rookie class, he's going out and he's talking to each one of them. He's sending them messages. They're hugging it out, being friends. And there we go. This is what you want to see. Again, all the struggles are still going to be there. All of the pieces are still going to be there. But these guys are going to be a camaraderie. And imagine Karan protecting Caleb's blind side. Imagine Tory Taylor sitting on the sidelines going, you son of a bitch, would you stop going for it on fourth down? Can I just get a kick in every once in a while? Jesus Christ. Romy Odunze having just incredible going after the ball, 20 yard plus receptions, 13, 14 touchdowns. Just imagine all of this coming together. And then we're going to get to the man at this point. But they got a B for their selection of Tory Taylor. And then you got this guy right here. And guys, look, I don't know how this plays out, but Austin Booker, the Karan Emagaji and Tory Taylor selections got a boost in value, and Ryan Poles traded back into the fifth round to land the pass rusher that most anticipated the Bears landing over the weekend. Poles sent a 2025 fourth round pick to Buffalo in exchange for their 2024 fifth round pick that Buffalo owned via the Ryan Bates trade. Austin Booker is a player that I saw as a fit for the Bears in the third round. His small sample size in college made it possible for Chicago to circle back in the fifth and snatch the high ceiling pass rusher from Kansas. Booker had limited playing time, but made the most of it with 8 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. The Bears were impressed by his high pressure rate and believes he has room to improve by gaining more weight and experience. Although he likely won't compete for a starting role in his rookie season, he could play in a rotational position behind Montez Sweat and DeMarcus Walker. If he develops into a reliable pass rusher while learning from them, he'll eventually be a starter opposite Sweat. That's the idea right here. Like, we're bringing in that guy, and with that second year upgrade, if Austin Booker is as good as he appears to be, then by the end of this season, he's going to be getting significant playing time on the edge, probably substituting for DeMarcus Walker, who'll be into an expiring contract. And, we might be looking at making that move. So Chicago only had 2 day 3 choices, and I'm not going to pick the punter. The Bears use a 205 fourth round pick to trade back in the draft and scoop up Booker, which they gave a B+. Overall, they get an A for their rating. Then we have Windy City Gridiron. Now, they're biased, of course, and they say, well, the Chicago Bears won the 2024 NFL Draft. Of course, we know the names. Their take is, after a couple games, after the Bears selected Booker, the NFL analyst Daniel Jeremiah said that they had Booker. If he had stayed in school for one more year, he would have probably been a second-round pick next year. He has that kind of talent. We will have to wait a little to see if he becomes a complete player, but in the meantime, he will produce in a more limited but productive role. This guy is going to be sitting behind a decent, the number one rushing defense, of course. He's going to be sitting there getting a little bit of playing time. They're going to give this guy that edge a few times. They're going to let him, and by the way, they probably won't against the tackles that are going to make him look bad. They're probably going to give him some playing time against some of the weaker tackles in the league and just let him go and just see what he can do. I can't wait to see how this practice plays out. This is going to be just an incredible team, guys. I feel like I told you guys already. But now let's talk about, what does he bring to the Chicago Bears defense. His nickname is the Beast. He only played 505. I don't know that that's right. Well, he played 505 career snaps, but the 6'4", 253-pound defensive end knows he has the traits that will benefit him as a pro. I've got speed, I've got length, I've got strength, and I've been able to use all those gifts that I have. I'm going to use it at the next level. He was not an every down player at Kansas and lined up at times in a 2-point stance and also with a hand in the dirt. In Chicago, Eberflus and DC Eric Washington, Booker will be asked to play with a hand in the dirt primarily. The 21-year-old rookie believes he is a fit at a 4-3 defensive end. I've played a 4 down my whole career, but I also know I have the athleticism to play on that 3 down. Just having the versatility is only a plus for me moving forward. I'm excited to run in the 4-3, get my hands dirty again, and just look forward to that. So these are a few of the plays. We're not going to go into this because usually these people get, demonetized, but there's some plays out there. Go look at what Austin Booker does. He really plays hard, and he plays every single down. And guys, here's the thing that we've looked at some of these defensive ends coming out of college. Some of these guys that are supposed to be the next big thing, these pass rusher defensive ends, and Jadeveon Clowney, if you remember him in South Carolina. This guy was in the backfield before the snap sometimes because he was so powerful and so strong, et cetera, et cetera. But he didn't put in the work. He didn't put in the effort. He didn't play every play like it mattered. He took so many plays off. Austin Booker never takes a play off. So here's the thing. Even if he's just a good pass rusher, he's going to give you a good pass rush on every single down. And that's the best thing that you can ask for from a coaching standpoint. And then from there, it's on you, the coach, to start to develop that talent and put him in situations in which he can be successful. So Austin Booker, I think we're looking at what the Bears got as a very, very big win. So it seems, just to me, this is just kind of a fantastic opportunity. And the Bears most likely going to be considered the biggest winners of the draft. But let's move on here and let's get into it. Caleb Williams, your number 1 pick. Let's talk stats here. 93 touchdowns in college, 14 interceptions in his career, 27 rushing touchdowns. In 2021, 64.5% completion. By the way, when I give you these numbers, these do not match up favorably to Justin Fields. Just I want you to know that. I want you to. If you was saying Odunzi's, I thought so too, but these assholes are out here telling me that it's Odunzi, and I thought it was Odunze because that's what makes the most sense. So I'm either going to call him Rome Odunze or Romy Odunzi because he's got an E on the end of both names. So I'm pretty sure I have to do it the same way, right? I mean, I'm just saying. So yeah, I think I was doing it correctly, and I think that they were not. But I think you don't care. I think if we listen to him, he probably says Odunze. But who knows? As a matter of fact, I've seen multiple names spelled just like I've seen people just pronounce their name in odd ass way. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I was talking to somebody this weekend who was talking about the word iron and how people in the South say iron. So it's pronunciation. Who gives a shit, really? The guy is going to be a monster in the NFL. So we're going to call him Uno, and that's going to be it. How about that? Model score 93. So anyway, 64.5% completion, 1,912 yards. This is in Oklahoma. 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 79 carries for 442 yards and 6 touchdowns. 2022 Heisman Trophy winner, 66.6 completion percentage, 4,537 yards, 9-point yards in a 10. This guy throws the ball. 42 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 113 carries for 382 yards. And then in 2023, 68.6 got better, 3,633 yards, less passes, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 97 carries, 142 yards, but 11 touchdowns. This guy is a touchdown machine. I mean, if you just really look at that, 93 touchdowns in college in 3 years. If he had stayed for one more year, we'd be talking about a guy with 150 touchdowns in college, averaging close to 40 touchdowns per season. Like that is a phenomenal level of ability that we're looking at from Caleb Williams. And this guy is just, look, I think this is next level. I think this is a great opportunity for the Chicago Bears. And then we have Romy Odunze or Rome Odunze or Rome Odunze or Rome Odunze. You guys can decide, but they both end in E. So if we're going to use it on one, why aren't we using it on the other? And then you're going to roll your eyes. Look at you just using English the wrong way. No, I'm using it the right way. I'm using it the exact way that you're telling me to use it. I'm just not using the word that you're looking for. You know what I mean? Anyway, so he had in 2020, just barely played. Then he got he played in 9 games. He was targeted 69 times, had 41 receptions, 415 yards, 10.1 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns. 2022 is when he really started to come alive. 2022, he had 110 targets, 75 receptions, 1,145 yards. Guys, that's a receiver right now that you want to draft. That is a guy that you want to go. That's the guy that you want to go to. And then you have 7 touchdowns. And then he comes out last year, 140 targets, 92 receptions, 1,640 yards, 17.8 yards per reception. This guy is big time. Yards per route, 2.93. And then the touchdown ratio, 13 touchdowns. This is an incredible, and look, the player comparison, Devontae Adams. This is a big, pronounced, this is a big, pronounced guy who's going to have a huge impact on the game in Chicago. So we've got our guy. This is right here, cons: mediocre route runner, inconsistent separator, and gimmicky offense. And that would be fair enough, but the high-end ball skills, elite contested catcher, and great catch technique are probably going to he's going to get better. By the way, he will get better at his route running, and he'll get better at his separation. That's what Keenan Allen's there for. That's what DJ Moore is there for. They're going to teach them. They're going to take this guy under his wing, and they're going to make this guy something better than he is right now. At least I think so. If he's got the passion for it, and I do think that he does, if he got the passion for it, then this is going to be he's going to be a big time player on this team going into the future. Next up, we have Karan Emagaji. Karan, these are his stats right here. 24 career games. He had 1 sack allowed, 26 pressures allowed. He was a 2-time All Ivy League selection. He was an Ivy League Offensive Lineman of the Year in 2023, third team FCS All American, and he was the Charles Loftus Award winner in 2021. I won't get on too much about this because, guys, this is going to be a Chicago legacy to me. Torrey Taylor, he came in, and Jesus, guys, when you look at these stats, I mean, fuck my life. This is like Ray Guy level stuff. And if you might not even remember who Ray Guy is, but this is just some next level kicking that this kid is doing here right now. In 2020, averaged 44 yards in 8 games, had 40 punts. In 2021, 80 punts, averaging 46.1 yards. In 2022, 82 punts, averaging 45.4. And then last year, 93 punts where he averaged 48.2. Now, again, the interesting thing about this is the numbers get that high because Iowa was not a good offensive team. They couldn't move the ball. And then that means that you get a longer ramp for your punts. So every once in a while, you get a nice little kick. You get somebody not catching it. It bounces. You get like you get one of those 80-yard rolls every once in a while, and you look like a stud because you're kicking from your own 10-yard line or you're kicking from your own 20-yard line. You know what I mean? So this guy is a big, big boot. Now, the question is, can he control it? Can he get it within the 10-yard line? Can he put the ball in the right position consistently? And that's what we're going to learn about him. But so far, he looks like he's got the leg to knock it a mile. And then we have Austin Booker, and this is what he looked like. Basically 21, 22, almost throwaway. Played 6 games for Minnesota, had 1 solo tackle, 1 assisted tackle, and then 1 tackle for loss. And then that's when he got in Kansas in 2023. They put him on the line. He had 40 solo, 16 assisted for a total of 56 tackles. Excuse me. 12 tackles for loss. He spent a lot of time in a backfield, and then 8 sacks. So you're talking about 20. This is 20 times he was in the backfield making something happen in 12 games. This could be just a fantastic player that we end up getting that ends up being that next level guy. So hopefully, you know what I mean? The answer to that, Michael, is when I do when I do my bench presses, I start with 225 and I do it 25 times, and then I do 275 between 15 and 18 times, and then I do 315 until failure, and that's all I do. I don't lift heavy anymore, but I used to lift very heavy. I just don't lift real heavy anymore. But I'm still pretty strong, and I'll always be, fairly strong. So this is what it looks like right now. Now, I did take on the defense, and I did throw Austin Booker up there on the edge next to DeMarcus Walker. I assume that that's the guy that we're going to have the most substitution with. Dominique Robinson probably spells Montez Sweat, but I don't think it really matters whether you're left or right side at this point. Dominique Robinson used to playing that right side. So, you know what I mean? No, it's not. It's not. Gervon Dexter and Montez can probably bench press 225. As many, if not more times than I can. I think Jared Verse did it 27 times in the combine. You know what I mean? Hey, there we go. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky as well. Shout out L1C4, baby. Yeah, he is the steal of the draft, by the way. But anyway, so we throw him on there and as the sub for DeMarcus Walker. Now, of course, he's not going to be he's not gonna be getting much playing time to begin with unless he balls out. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in training camp. I mean, he might just get it. You know what I mean? Like if he's a second round prospect for the next year, he might come out and he might just get it. Now, the likelihood of that very, very low. So don't hold your hopes up too much, but you never know what's going to happen. And then finalized basically 12 men on the field. Yeah, but it's my goddamn show, so I get to do that. We got DJ Moore, Roma Dunzi. We've got Keenan Allen. We've got Cole Kmet. We got Gerald Everett. We got Caleb Williams. We got DeAndre Swift. The line, Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Ryan Bates, Nate Davis, Darnell Wright. For anybody wondering, Coleman Shelton is not considered to be the starter at center. He's the backup at guard at this point and a backup center. Ryan Bates, considered to be a favorite by Ryan Poles, looks to be the starter going into the season. And guys, I can't help but think this is a much improved Bears team, the likes of which we have rarely seen. This is not a team that we've seen on this field in a very, very long time. This is, this right here looks like, is it Super Bowl? Probably not this season. I do want to say that I think the Bears are not guaranteed. Nothing is ever guaranteed, but I think that the Bears are a playoff team. Well, Shelton only started 2 games at center in LA last year, or 4 games at center last year. Ryan Bates, I think they just consider him to be better. The whole thing is, Trapper Keeper, is that he's going to be able to compete for the job. That's the important part. The best player is going to play. By the way, that does mean if Tyler Scott is the best player, he's going to be playing the slot and not Romy Odunze or Rome Odunze or, Ramaduns, Ramoduns, whatever you want to call him, Uno. So if he's playing better than Uno, then he's going to be playing. So interesting times. DeAndre Swift, $8 million a year, 3 years, $24 million. So we'll see. Khalil Herbert, I'm still a fan of Khalil Herbert, and I'm a big fan of Roshan Johnson. So I think the running back team is going to be deep. And then here's the thing. Crimson says, can we beat other playoff teams? Well, I mean, you really have to. I'll put it this way. It looks at this point like we're going to dominate Detroit. I don't see how Detroit, we didn't get prohibitively worse and they didn't get prohibitively better. So I think that we have their number, that we made a mistake towards the end of the season. And Justin Fields did us no favors. We have to be honest about Justin Fields and say that he didn't do us any favors, even if I love the guy and I think that he's a great talent. He didn't do us any favors by not closing out games strongly. Luke Getsy was a problem, but he was not the only problem. So if we just consider that for a second, then Minnesota, we're going to sweep Minnesota. Detroit, we're going to sweep Detroit. And Detroit was a half away game, a quarter, a half, all of that from winning and going into the Super Bowl. So we have to consider that's our team, right? A team that can take a Super Bowl contender and beat them handily, 28-13. And look, we did lose. We did lose, but we were up 26-14 with 4.5 minutes left, and we're not going to let something like that happen again. So, you really have to consider. I mean, put all these pieces together, and you're looking at a team that's just absolutely built to. It's just built to be a super team. Okay. Trapper Keeper said, is it true that Caleb might not be in Madden? He is not in Madden right now. I've got the 2024, and he is not. He's not there yet. Neither is Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think there's a couple others. But you have to sign a licensing rights for yourself in order to do that. So I haven't seen it. The people that are in Madden right now are Jaden Daniels, Joe Alt, basically everybody in the top 10, not named Marvin Harrison and Caleb Williams. But I assume at this point they're going to sign their deal and they're going to make it happen. So yeah, he'll be fine. I'm pretty sure that everybody's going to be included. They just haven't signed their deals yet. So there'll be an update. But anyway, so this is the roster. That's your Chicago Bears. That's your Chicago Bears for 2024. This is going to be, and Crimson brings up an important part. There's going to be some questions to ask. There's going to be some questions that we're going to have answered. And, can we get those questions answered in a good way? Yeah. Rome, by the way, William, Rome is a punt and kick returner. So he can also do that. Whether he'll be asked to do it or not, I don't know. Tyler Scott is probably going to be that guy. And don't forget, and I'm going to say this, and you're going to be like, oh, you better not be fucking kidding me. Velus Jones Jr. is still out there. And look, I know what he did. I know the drops that he made. I know the fumbles that he had. I know all the bad pieces. But that wasn't a testament of the entire season. That was just a testament of a moment in time where he was having a lot of problems and struggling with his game a little bit. The team still likes him, and he's still a decent performer. And I think that we're going to see a much better Velus Jones Jr. next season. If we don't, Tyler Scott's going to be that guy, and if we don't, Rome is going to be that guy. They're going to get him into the game. They're going to get him the ball. Here's the thing: they're going to get Rome the ball a lot because the Rome Empire is here in Chicago. So, but we'll see. And hasn't he always struggled? No. As a matter of fact, the first 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 games, that's when we really saw Velus Jones struggle. And every time he got the ball kicked to him, we saw him flub it or fumble it, or he just had so many problems, and he was working through something. I don't know what it was, but he was working through something. And then towards the end of the season, we started to see him put it together. Now, does that mean that he didn't drop passes? No, it doesn't. He still dropped passes. He's still got he's still got game to work on. But here's the thing: he was getting the ball being thrown that were being thrown to him by Justin Fields, and Justin Fields doesn't do very many people very many favors the way that he was throwing the ball. I mean, you have to at least account for the fact that Justin Fields was a problem, if not the problem. He was a problem. Michael Dodson says, calling it now, Nate Davis will be the most improved player. I think that's going to go to a rookie. I think that we'll see Tyreek Stevenson or Darnell Wright be the most improved player. That would be my guess. And of course, it's just a random guess. I have no idea. But I think that we'll see a rookie that really takes a big leap for the next season. Gervon Dexter. If Gervon Dexter is a disruptor, then he'll be the most improved guy. But here's the thing: just imagine as you're looking around this team, like you can call a lot of different players and say, I think this guy's going to be the most improved player. I think this guy's going to be the most improved player. I mean, you remember Tyler Scott he was a rookie. Tyler Scott, Tyreek Stevenson, Darnell Wright, these guys were all getting playing time as rookies. So Gervon Dexter, Zach Pickens, like all these guys were getting playing time as rookies. So if they are better, then this team is going to be fantastic. Now it's time for me to go. So, and yes, dealing with his mother's illness was a big problem for his offseason. And I still think, here's what I think. I think that he was a good player, even though it was clear that he was distracted. I think he was still a good player. And so as long as these guys improve, it's going to be fantastic. Anyway, that's my time, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Bear down. We'll be back tomorrow. I got some content coming out. We're going to be talking about some of these players individually in some shorter videos. And that's it. You guys have a good day. Bear down, and we'll talk to you again